The Denver Nuggets just took a 3-1 lead on the Miami Heat in the 2023 NBA Finals, and I'm not gonna lie, it's looking like the series is over from here. Denver took care of business for the most part at home, they took care of business on the road, and they have an opportunity to close it out in Game 5 at home in front of their home fans. Even in the game that they lost, Game 2, they didn't even look that terrible. Nikola Jokic had a phenomenal scoring game, and if it weren't for some very key miscommunications on the defensive side of the ball, I think Denver would have won that game. But as far as the entertainment factor for this series, I'm gonna be honest, this series has not been as entertaining as some of the other final series in the past few years. Like, I don't think this series holds a candle to 2021 or 2020 or even 2022 as far as just entertainment goes and competitiveness. But that's not really what sparked me to make this video. What sparked me to make this video is the narrative around this NBA Finals, whether it's pro Miami Heat, pro Nikola Jokic, pro Denver Nuggets, whatever the case may be. So in this video, I kind of wanted to go through every single narrative and talk about why I either agree or disagree with it and just overall give my opinion on it. The first narrative that never really sat right with me was the notion that the Denver Nuggets had an easy pass to the NBA Finals. And I have a problem with this take because A, it feeds into that whole culture of discrediting teams that win because of unfortunate circumstances that happen to the other team. And B, people are downplaying the Denver Nuggets competition to a degree that makes absolutely zero sense. So let's just go through who they played in the 2023 playoffs. In the first round, they played a Timberwolves team that dealt with injuries all year, who were also plagued with the problem of Rudy Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns in the same offense. And let's be real, we didn't really have that much expectations for Minnesota to even hold a candle to Denver in that series. And then in the next round, they faced the Phoenix Suns, and people are just going to be conveniently arguing that the Nuggets were just always the better team. But I remember certain sports personalities were choosing the Suns to win this series in like 5 games, not even giving Denver a chance, not even giving Denver the respect of making it a 6 or 7 game series. I feel like any knowledgeable NBA fan would have picked Denver to win that series because I won't lie, Phoenix post-trade deadline was kind of a mess. They were dealing with hella injuries, no real team chemistry was built, and in the playoffs, their bench was just non-existent. Not to mention Chris Paul dealing with injuries as well. Even though his impact had regressed to that point, he was still the team's starting point guard, so he definitely had an impact. And then in the conference finals, this is where the narrative really starts to piss me off. In the conference finals, the Denver Nuggets played the Los Angeles Lakers, who were having an amazing playoff run up to that point. They defeated the Grizzlies in the first round. In the second round, they defeated the Warriors. So with this kind of momentum, you would think that everyone would have this series being very close. Even me, I said that the Nuggets were going to win this series in 6 games. I still gave the Lakers that respect of winning 2 games, especially because the Lakers were so great on their home floor. Up until that point, I think the Lakers were undefeated at home. So I just thought it was just going to be the first 4 games are going to be split, and then the next 2 were just going to be close games. But no, the series went nothing like that. And yes, the Lakers did have the excuse of LeBron James having a foot injury. And I'm not going to knock him for playing bad, especially when the foot was definitely bothering him at that point. But the people using that to downplay what the Denver Nuggets were doing in that series just don't know basketball, bro. And that's always been a problem when we're talking about injuries and how they affect series and whatnot. People are criticizing Denver Nuggets as if they had any control in who plays in front of them. And because it's Nikola Jokic, there's obviously going to be a double standard because LeBron was the one who was dealing with the injury. But I guarantee you, if it was the other way around and LeBron benefited from Nikola Jokic being injured, you're not going to see a whole lot of chatter about that. And then in this finals matchup, people are going to look back and say, oh, well, they played an 8 seed in the finals, and all the context behind it is going to get lost in history. So here's what I'll say. Did the Denver Nuggets have a weak playoff run? No, they didn't. They played quality teams, and they played who was in front of them, and they played phenomenal basketball. Did they benefit from injuries? Yes, but what team hasn't benefited from injuries in the last 5 years? Every single playoff series, every single playoff run, there's always a team that's missing a significant player that's very important to their team. Just look at the 2021 playoffs, riddled with injuries. The 2 teams that made it to the finals benefited from injuries that year, and yet we still got a great finals series. And speaking of finals series, let me talk about the 2023 finals. I have a problem with both sides of the argument when they say things like, oh, the 2023 finals is going to be boring because it's not the Lakers and the Celtics and whatnot. And my problem with that side of the argument is that they're putting the narrative above the actual basketball that they're seeing on the floor. And again, I have no problem with narrative talk. Narratives are a part of the game at the end of the day. Narratives are a part of sports. But what I have a problem with is when people don't even watch the games and they just operate their basketball analysis off of a narrative. To put it simply, it's just a lazy way to analyze basketball, and it's very unproductive. Because the problem with narratives is that they tend to leave out a lot of context. Like, for example, this whole 8-seeded Miami Heat narrative. People are either going to try and use it to downplay the Denver Nuggets, or they're going to try and use it to over elevate the Miami Heat to the point where it's like they just went through this crazy playoff run. But then the problem I have with the other side of the argument is the people who are trying to act all self-righteous and try to act like, oh, I'm a real NBA fan because I wanted the Nuggets versus the Heat instead of the Celtics-Lakers. When deep down, bro, they know that the Celtics-Lakers finals would not only have been more interesting, it would have been better for the NBA financially, and it would have gotten more attention. Now, I'm not going to sit up here and act like a Celtics-Lakers finals would have been competitive, because realistically speaking, I don't think the Lakers are as good of a team as the Celtics are. I'm not saying that the Celtics would just easily win that series, but I think that series would go 6 games at the least, and Boston would come out on top. But having that finals matchup gives the league a lot more to work with when it comes to coming up with narratives, when it comes to just overall just branding and things of that nature. Depending on who wins, it would be kind of like a passing of the torch. Like, there's so many things the NBA could have done with the Celtics-Lakers finals. And what I'm noticing in the 2023 finals so far is that not that many people are interested. Despite viewership being similar to what it was last year, the discourse around the finals hasn't been as strong as it was last year when it was the Celtics versus the Warriors. But to sit up there and act like you're the superior NBA fan just because you wanted this series that was going to get less viewership, that's just weird to me. And these are the same type of people that would never shut up about the possible LeBron versus Kobe finals matchup in 2009. Like, that was 14 years ago, bro. Get over it. I know that was your childhood and whatnot, but bro, you gotta get over it at some point. You're a grown man. And B, you're criticizing so-called fake NBA fans for only caring about narratives when you're the one who's caring about narratives. And these are the same people that complain about Bleacher Report and House of Highlights only posting the Lakers and only posting certain players that are popular or whatnot. And to that argument, I'll say this. They're a business, bro. If you were running House of Highlights, if you were running Bleacher Report, any of these major NBA media companies, you would only post about the things that would get clicks. You don't see me making videos about the Orlando Magic. You don't see me making videos about the Atlanta Hawks or something like that. Not only because those teams don't really pull viewership like that, but because, in my opinion, those teams aren't really that interesting to talk about. And that's just the sad truth about how NBA media works. That's just the sad truth about how talking about the NBA works. The big market teams are the ones that are going to get the most attention. And what I would suggest to that crowd of NBA fans is, hey, go seek out the content for yourself. We're not living in 2009 where it's just ESPN talking about the same players, the same teams over and over again, and you can't just find another channel. We live in the age of social media. We live in the age of the internet. You can go seek out that content for yourself. And the last narrative I want to talk about is the notion that Jimmy Butler is carrying this Miami Heat team. I've addressed it before, but it's just simply not true. If you look at the box score, if you look at the tape, it's just not true. Now, you could make an argument that there were certain games in this playoff run where Jimmy Butler willed his team to a win. You can make that argument, but as far as carrying, simply no. And that's just another problem. People use the word carrying way too much. Carry culture has been a thing in the NBA ever since LeBron was running through the Eastern Conference in the 2010s. And it's like any time that you see a player string together a really good stretch of games and be the sole reason why their team wins those set of games, they get that carrying label, and it's just unfair. It's unfair to Caleb Martin, Bam Adebayo, Kyle Lowry, Max Strus, Duncan Robinson, all these great players that have been playing for the Miami Heat and who have been straight up hooping. It's unfair to just give Jimmy all the credit, especially ever since the Knicks series where he hasn't even been like fully 100%. And it's been mostly his team doing a lot of the heavy lifting, and especially Eric Spoelstra being the great coach that he is. But yeah, man, those are my thoughts on the NBA Finals and a lot of the narratives surrounding it. Hopefully Game 5 on Monday night is a close one, because at least I would love to see the NBA Finals end in a close game. And I wouldn't mind the Miami Heat pulling a 2016 LeBron if they have to. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. If you enjoyed, make sure to hit that like button. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure to subscribe. More videos on the way soon, and I'm out. Peace.